Good morning. Welcome to Faith in Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee. Today we have a harvest day. This is the very first day this year, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that because we're almost in the middle of August. It's the very first day that I am intentionally going into the garden to harvest whatever there is to harvest. So far, I've just been coming out here on an as-needed basis and picking things that I'm going to immediately cook with. I've not come out here to do a harvest. And part of that is because I've been busy, but the other part of it is because I have a really bad bunny problem this year, and it's been really discouraging. And so I'm actually really nervous to come out here and see the damage and see if there even is anything, because I mean they're decimating areas of the garden. So we're just gonna come out here and get what we can get, and then in a separate video we're gonna deal with it all. I am afraid that if I did it all in this video, it would be a really long video. So we're gonna harvest today, and then in a separate video we are going to put up all of the food that we harvest today. So first of all, I have my basket, and I've got my garden snips ready to go. I wanted to show you this really quick. In my fall garden planning video, I told you the seeds that I wanted to start. I went ahead and did that. I started most of them. There's still one more tray I need to do. I started these not yesterday, but the day before. And look, I've got these have germinated. They haven't popped up yet, but I can see here these are germinating, these are germinating. Oh, there's one there germinating. I planted these 2 days ago. Oh, there's got a bunch of them, a bunch of chamomile over here that has sprouted. These germinated so fast. Like this first one here germinated the next day. But I have been bottom watering and then leaving this outside, so it's really nice and warm. So that's probably why. But I'm excited about that. And then when I went to, I didn't tell you guys I was doing this. I do a raw milk CSA, and a driver goes and picks it up because the farm is over an hour away. A driver every other Tuesday will go pick it up and then drop it off, and it was my turn to drive. So I went to the farm. That's where I got this shirt. And while I was there, Christina, the one of the owners, the wife, she took me to their garden and to their greenhouse and was showing me around, which was so much fun. And she gave me a turmeric plant. She's been growing turmeric, so she offered it to me, and I was like, yes, please, definitely. So I've got some turmeric. She said not to plant it in the ground in our climate, but to just up pot it into a bigger pot and keep it inside like during the wintertime, and I'll have turmeric. So that's exciting. So I'm gonna start with the hardest area first, and that is definitely the peppers. I think the peppers are what need to be harvested the most. They're what I've been putting off the most because of the bunnies, but I need to just go ahead and do it. And then the other reason I've been putting it off is because peppers, I can only let them sit for so long. Zucchini can sit a while, but peppers really need to be dealt with right away. So we're gonna do that today, just again in a separate video, but I'm ready. I have my recipes, I know what I wanna do, so let's go ahead and harvest these peppers. Beautiful banana peppers this year. Really gorgeous. So this pepper variety is called garden salsa. That's literally like what the tag said. And that's exactly what I bought this for. I really want to make a ton of salsa this year. It's on my list. And this pepper is spicy, but it's a pleasant spicy. The pepper itself has wonderful flavor, and it's just spicy enough where you're like, oh man, this is spicy pepper, but it's not so spicy that you are in pain or not enjoying the experience. And so this was only one plant. I have so many of these, and I am excited to cook. I'm gonna dice them up and keep them in the freezer and cook with them because I have been putting them on my breakfast, and I want some over the winter time, so I'm probably gonna use my food saver, but the rest is gonna go in salsa. I'm actually really surprised this is the first I'm finding this, but here we go. This is what I'm talking about. The bunnies come and they eat the bottoms out of things. And they've done this to some of my bell peppers. They've been doing it to, when we get over to the tomatoes, I'll show you. They're literally, the tomatoes are hanging on the stem and they're just like eating out the bottoms of them. And it's so frustrating. And like, don't get me wrong, I get sharing with nature. Like, it's part of it, I understand. But like, these bunnies must be so fat because my neighbor, the blue house here, she gardens too, and she's been saying the same thing. So, and then I've just been throwing it on the ground, hoping that the ones that have already been ruined will be like a decoy, and they'll eat those instead of the other ones. But these bunnies are smart. They know not to go back for leftovers when they got fresh right here. Oh, so annoying. I planted a purple variety of pepper, and these are the bunnies' favorite. They've been scattered all over the lawn, and I'm actually really surprised I found one intact. I love purple peppers. I don't know why. And so this time, because I didn't start too many of my peppers this year, I had to kind of supplement with purchasing. So this was a purple variety that I found, and I'm really excited to try it. Look at these cute little jalapenos. They're like little snackers. They're tiny. I don't know what variety this is or how they ended up being this small, but they're ripe. They're ready. They're just little. I think they're jalapenos. Maybe they're not. When we get to the kitchen, we'll taste test one, but I'm not doing it out here. All right, I had way more bell peppers last year. I have such a variety of other peppers this year, but I'm okay with it. Here's a good example of, where did it go? Bunnies. They just come and they snack. This is actually okay though, because I will just look at the little teeth marks. I'll just cut that portion off, and I'm still going to preserve this. So I got a basket full of peppers. Now let's look through our cucumbers here. Oh, that's a really good one. Nice. I'm actually shocked that this didn't get eaten. I think I have the record for my biggest zucchini. Let's document this. Hang on. Let me fix the camera. All right, I have to document this as being the biggest zucchini I've ever grown. This thing is huge. It's literally, it's the same size as my arm. I don't know how. This doesn't have any teeth marks on it. I do not know how, but cool. All right, now let's talk about tomatoes. So this is the worst area of my tomatoes. We had a really bad storm a few days ago, and so this tomato plant got completely knocked over. It's on my zucchini, and I don't want to fold it because the tomatoes are so heavy that I'm just afraid if I mess with it. Plus, this is the worst tomato plant in terms of the bunnies. So here's a tomato that the bunny knocked off. It's a green tomato. I've left it as a sacrifice, hoping that they'll eat this one. But here's an example of what they've been doing. Because they're so low to the ground, they come and they just eat it. See how these are kind of low hanging? They just come and eat the bottoms out of them, and then they fall off. There's one right there that you can't see. And so these that have fallen over here, the bunny's probably gonna eat them, and I'm just letting it go. I've got so many tomato plants that I think these are just gonna be sacrificed, but it's really annoying. So I'm just going to take you through and show you that I have a bunch of tomatoes, but they are still green. I've got a bunch, but they haven't turned for me yet. I'm hopeful that if I leave it kind of dense, then the bunnies won't be able to find them. That's kind of what I've been hoping for, and they can turn in time for me to pick them. I've already accepted I'm probably going to have to pick, like as soon as they start to blush, I'm going to have to pick them to save them before the bunnies get them, which is fine. But that's why I've not pruned and I've left this kind of dense, and I'm hoping that it'll hide the tomatoes from the bunnies. Last year I grew the Sweetheart cherry tomato, and I did not care for it. It was a very small red tomato. I thought it was pretty flavorless. So this year by recommendation of many of you, I grew the Sun Gold cherry tomato, and it is so good. So sweet, so flavorful. I'm always on the hunt for a really good cherry tomato because I love to snack in the garden. So much. So I've done a lot of experimenting with cherry tomatoes, trying to find the right one for me. Sweetheart wasn't it. These Sun Golds I think are going to make an appearance again next year. And then my favorite so far has been the black cherry. I started those from seed this year, but you guys might remember that I struggled with my seed starts this year because of my soil issue. And so I do have some planted out here. They're kind of interspersed with the other tomatoes, and I have yet to see any, so we'll see. I don't know if they just didn't make it or if they just haven't matured yet. I'm not sure, but we'll find out when these all start to turn exactly what I have. And then lastly, I do have one actual tomato plant that is putting on mature red tomatoes. Let me show you. This is my third one that I've gotten out of the garden. I do not have these labeled, so I don't know what this is. I have two others sitting on my windowsill in the kitchen, and this is ripe. It just, when I went to pick it, it fell right off the plant. And it's a very light color, as you can see. It's not like a deep red. It's a very like almost orangey color. And I'm excited because I've got two others, so I think I'm gonna make a quick batch of salsa for me to snack on today. That'll be really yummy. I've got my second round of raspberries coming in. These are my golden raspberries, and they're my favorite kind of raspberry. They've been ripening just a little at a time, but you can see here they're setting on their fruit, and they're gonna be a ton when they all come in, so I'm excited for that. While I was walking around perusing, I found some more red tomatoes, but the plant that they're coming off of is just riddled with disease, in really rough shape. So I'm going to pick the red tomatoes, and then I'm going to prune off a lot of this damaged plant. This looks to be like some kind of like grape tomato. This is the area that I did the Florida weave method very poorly to try and trellis my tomatoes, and it's a jungle in there. It's an absolute mess. I have not managed it well, and that's why I'm seeing disease on my plants, because they are very, very densely planted and not well pruned, and we've had a really wet summer, so there's just a lot of disease. And honestly, I'm just gonna get what I get, because it would take so much time, and if I were to go in there and prune those out, I'd probably end up just spreading the disease, because I'd have to constantly wash my hands, constantly sterilize my snips. It's honestly, it's not worth it, if you ask me. Look at the overgrowth on this tomato plant. Do you see that? Like, here's the edge of the bed. Look at the overgrowth. This tomato plant is wildly explosive. And you want to know what it is? I figured it out yesterday. This is that white currant tomato I was telling you about. It's small and white and like not even an inch big, and it's sweet, and that's what all of this is, this explosion, which is funny because I started more white currants to have as an indoor tomato. This is not going to work as an indoor tomato. This is, I mean, it's feet and feet of this tomato plant just spilling out. It's huge. And it's covered in those little tomatoes. They're not ripe yet, but covered in them. So yeah, this is not gonna work as an indoor tomato. Next up, how do you know when a butternut squash is ready to be harvested? I have one here. No! I've been waiting on this baby for so long. Oh man. Oh, sadness. I've been waiting for this. Wow. Wow. I mean, I could cut this bottom. I probably will still use this for something, but oh my, I've been waiting and waiting for this squash. Okay, luckily there was another one next to it, and it does have some teeth marks, but it's still in good shape. What stinks about the teeth marks, though, is this is not going to hold up in storage, and I did not plant this butternut squash, but it has absolutely taken over my garden, so I was hoping to get some for storage. My goodness. All in here, in between this bed that has my celery and that bed that has my herbs, that's all butternut squash. So let's get in there and see if I can find anything. That's pretty. Okay, I'm glad I went in there. I found only one more squash, but I found a zucchini that I had harvested and set down and forgot about. And this is a good one, like a young one, and it's intact. And then I found another butternut squash. This one's in really good shape, no teeth marks. I can try to store this one. It does still have, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, some green streaking, which tells me this was not ready to harvest, but there was no chance. I was leaving it. Nobody left behind here, okay? So I'm going to just put this in my homesteading room, and I'm sure it'll probably ripen the rest of the way by itself, I think. I don't actually really know anything about butternut squash. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I have not been harvesting and preserving herbs at all. I've just been coming out and harvesting them as needed as I've been cooking with them. But I want to get out my dehydrator and do a round of herbs. Part of the reason I haven't been doing it is because I really wish I had a freeze dryer, which is not a good way of thinking. I have a dehydrator, use what you've got. Like, I don't think that's a good attitude to have. But now that I know that freeze drying is so much better for the integrity of the herb than dehydrating, it's like I don't want to dehydrate anymore. And hanging them in my homesteading room off of my herb rack is the best, but I only have room for so much, and there's so much that needs to be harvested out here. So I'm gonna do a round in the dehydrator, and it just is what it is. It's still a good option, it's just not the best option, and I cannot afford a freeze dryer at the moment. So this is what I'm gonna have to do. So I'm gonna go through and harvest some herbs and get those going. This is the butternut squash. Come on. All right, I got a bunch of basil, some thyme, and some sage. And as you can see, it's a struggle to even get to the herbs. It's such a jungle in here. The last thing I want to check on are the carrots. I don't remember when I harvested my carrots last year. It's August, so I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and check them and see if they are coming along here. Okay, not bad, not bad. I don't think I'm gonna go through and harvest all of them because I do think they look like they could get a little bigger, but not bad. The only rain we've gotten was during that storm. Look at that. Almost 4 inches of rain overnight. That's crazy. Yeah, that storm was really severe. There were areas of my neighborhood that were flooded. Like the road was flooded. And it's crazy because that rain came in just a few hours. So it was like we were under like a flash flood warning or whatever. But luckily we didn't sustain really any damage here other than like my lilies had been knocked over, which was really sad. Just some stuff like that. That tomato plant got knocked over, but otherwise it was fine. And there you go. This is my first harvest, my first real harvest of 2023. Not bad. It still absolutely astounds me that I'm just doing this in my backyard, and this is what I'm ending up with. Like, my yard, I'm on a 1/4 acre. There's absolutely nothing special about my situation, nothing special about my property, nothing special about my garden. We built the raised garden beds ourselves. I shoveled every shovel full of dirt by myself. It's all just been our hard work and dedication, and these are the fruits of our labor, and it just makes me so happy, and it's just such worthy work. And this is amazing. I'm so proud of this harvest, and this is just my first one. My tomatoes haven't started coming in yet. My peppers still have a long way to go. I have a second succession of cucumbers started over here, so I'm sure I'll get more cucumbers. I still cannot get over this massive zucchini. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. I think this really big one I'll probably give to the chickens. This other big one, I've noticed that these are still really good for baking. Would I slice it and eat it like fried up? Probably not. That's probably more like a young one like this for flavor. But I grate it and freeze it and put it in like zucchini bread and stuff over the wintertime, and it does the job. It's just fine. It doesn't taste bitter to me or anything like that. So this one I'll probably keep. This one I'll probably give to the chickens. The butternut squashes, one of them is suitable for storage. The other one, well, I'm going to put it in storage for a little while, the one with the teeth marks. I'll just have to use it up soon-ish. It's not going to last all winter. This one I'm probably going to cook up for lunch. I'm going to cut it off, cut off the bottom part, peel the skin off, and then probably roast up some butternut squash fries with some olive oil and some salt and pepper and eat that with lunch. I think that's my plan for this one because that's not going to last at all. I'm going to get these herbs in the dehydrator, and then for the rest of this, you'll just have to stay tuned because I'm not even going to change. It's going to be the same me you see now. We're going to take all of this inside and go ahead and get started on preserving it. Before I forget, there is one more thing I need to harvest, and it's these onions. I could absolutely leave these onions longer, but I need them for a canning recipe today, so we're gonna go ahead and harvest a few of these. There's a Sharpie in here. All right, add 2 onions to the list. I have a lot of onions that I've planted, but I really don't like to harvest them early because I want them to mature. So I harvested 2. I'm making an onion pepper relish, and we're gonna talk about this in the next video where we process all of this. It is one of my absolute favorite things to have on my pantry shelves, but I'm just gonna do a small batch, and I'm just gonna have to make do with the 2 onions because I really don't want to pull any of the other ones before they're ready. So anyway, this is my harvest, and I appreciate you hanging out with me while we went through the garden together. Stay tuned for that processing video. Thank you so much. Have faith, my friends, and keep moving forward. Bye.